All right, Maguire, we are live on YouTube and on Zoom.
Awesome, awesome. Welcome, everybody. Just waiting for everybody to get into the room. We'll go ahead and get started here in a second. All righty. Well, hey guys, I know I'm not usually on the Wednesday pro tip Zooms, but I'm filling in today and I'm actually very excited for what I've got for you guys today. Spend a little time pulling together some things that I think are really important for us to hold on to as brokers with us every day and keep in mind while we're serving business owners out there. Um, I had a great time doing the broker overview last night, had a lot of great people there, a lot of great warm words shared. So, coming off of that, I just spent the night thinking of a few things that I carry with myself, and I know a lot of us who are leaders in the field do. So, I wanted to go ahead and share that. I've got some slides actually put together for you guys, so a little prepared. I'm going to go ahead and pull those up. Somebody give me the okay, and I'll go ahead and jump into it.
Looks
You're
great.
all set.
Awesome, awesome. So, um, like I mentioned, I'm Maguire Tate for anyone that's new. Been with DAC for just about 2.5 years now. Loving every moment of it. Serving clients and learning more and more about the funding industry, and a lot of business owners out there who have different stories and reasonings for why they could really feel that they could boost their business. And sometimes working capital really is the only way to do that. So I had a few things going off of last night. I know we had some questions about what we earn as brokers. So the simplistic answer would be that as brokers with DAC, we always earn 40 to 80% of bonus revenue. So I know I mentioned last night, and we obviously have been mentioning that we have our core rate, which funds the higher offer amounts, but it funds them at a lower cost. So um, keeping in mind that we always earn 40 to 80% of bonus revenue, that's going to calculate anywhere from 1 to 3% of the funding, being that these higher rated preferred funding offers are going to be funded to those business owners at a lower cost. So we're still earning the 40 to 80% of bonus revenue, but you have to keep in mind that these rates and these offers are meant to be the top of the line offers. So we don't make as much, but as DAC, but you're still going to make your 40 to 80% of the bonus revenue, which is what we make. So same goes for the flex rate, just a little bit different, where the flex rate funds a wider requirement range. So it allows owners that may not meet the core rate requirements to get funded. However, that funding is slightly higher risk assessment, so it's going to be funded at a higher cost where we earn 2 to 5% on average, but that's still 40 to 80% of the bonus revenue what we're earning. So keep in mind that's always going to be the case, every single funding, no matter what it is. But there's a difference in the rates and sometimes terms of these two different fundings just based off the qualifications. So keep that in mind. I just wanted to make that clear. Now, I want to dive into the fact that as great as the alternative funding space is for our clients and just to be able to give them that opportunity, we're not the only type of funding that exists out there. So, just a few examples. I mean, you've got, as a business owner, you could get a personal loan, you could get a business bank loan if you qualify, which we've mentioned before, just about, 10% or less can even qualify for that. You've got mortgages, and then you've got us with alternative funding. So, being a business owner out there, there's a lot of different businesses, but we can grasp the fact that most businesses, 90% of businesses, can't access these first three options. Some may have that access, but they'd have to put up their home or their business building, and they have certain things that they may just not want to cross that threshold. It may be a personal decision, a spouse decision, a business decision, wherever it is. Some people, even though they have access to these things, don't feel that it's the right fit or the right timing or whatever it may be. So, keeping in mind that we are not the only source of funding out there, but we are an alternative space that allows owners to get funding without collateral, get funding based off their revenue, and the timing of it is very key. Um, just want to make sure I cover all my points here. I got my notes written out, and I put some of them into a slideshow. Awesome. Yeah. So that's really just the main point here is that um, there's people out there that have options, there's people out there that don't have options, and so most of them do not even know about the alternative funding space. So a lot of people have prior knowledge with these other types of funding, but we have to keep in mind that we're not the only fish in the sea. There's other fish out there. A lot of people may associate what they know with them, but we're the ones that give them that next option, that some, I guess you could call it a last resort if that's how they see it. Now, with bank terms, I've heard just by speaking to clients and members in my own team, there's a lot of business owners out there that compare most things that we say to bank. We call it, they say bank terms, because that honestly may be all that they're used to or all that they've had experience with. So you have to understand that patience sometimes may need to be in play when talking to business owners because they may come back with that's it's almost their way of saying, hey, I'm knowledgeable in this space as well. But when they're coming back and saying, well, I can get bank terms, keep in mind, even though that's all they may be used to based off of just being a business owner, you see it in movies. um, Bank loans are one of the most, I guess, commonly known way of getting funding or money, but most, like I said, 90% aren't eligible. So it's okay to hear what they're saying because that's their way of expressing their own knowledge on the topic. But with DAC and Bank Breezy, we aren't a bank, and it's okay to use the bank as our ally, saying that's great. We're a part of building that relationship with that client is being honest with them and saying, a bank is a great option. It's going to give you a few years to pay something out. I mean, the terms are, generally within the ballpark of where we operate, but we're here because most businesses have already tried that route. They've already went down that route. It's not either it's, timing, it doesn't fit for them, whether it's the requirements they don't meet, etc. They're great, but not for most. So with Bank Breezy, we created this because it's a tool that meets the moment for a business owner, whether that's they need it tomorrow, they need it, a timing is a big thing, or um, they really just don't have means to put up collateral, anything like that. So we are a tool that meets the moment, and it's okay to use the bank as a friend of ours, but knowing that most won't get that. And it's not calling their bluff, but if a person can get approved at a bank, we should say, hey, that'd be a great option for you. We're just here for those that don't, or that don't have the time to wait. So I made this example. It's like ordering an Uber versus owning a car, right? You order an Uber, it's going to cost you a little more per ride, but it's convenient and it's readily accessible at any time. So you can save up and own a car. That's great. Some people can't. Some people get an Uber and they know it's right there when they need it. If they need to get from A to B, they call that Uber and it's always going to be there for them. They know that they can do that at any time. So that's a good way of thinking about how we're that readily accessible tool for a business that meets the moment where they don't have that other option. So, leverage when speaking with clients is one of the most important things. And honestly, for clients, or I should say, as for brokers who are speaking to clients, there's a lot of different steps to the process from that initial phone call, that initial relationship to getting just applying for the funding, getting approved for funding. And we need to sometimes stop and look at from a different perspective of this is a big decision for a business owner. This for us, it's, we did the right thing to connect them to the platform. We created that relationship with them. They trust us, they trust our business and our business plan or model. But at the end of the day, this is still a funding for a business. This isn't just, getting a new ice machine or, I mean, even switching over their payment processing is more of a kind of a flip on switch. But this is something where they need to really envision what the funding can do for their business. So I wrote, is there leverage, right? If a business owner has a clear ROI in sight, which is return on investment, I can turn this 40,000 that you guys can offer me into 150,000 by the end of the month. Why would I not do this? It's just, can I get access to that 40,000 for whatever it may be, right? So not every reason for funding may provide fuel, and that's a very real thought for business owners sometimes. So as we're talking to clients, as they're if as we're seeing what best offers we can get them, that's something that's in their mind. So if we're not framing that as being part of the conversation, well, we're honestly lessening or essentially disrespecting their true feelings and emotions as a business owner. So that's something that's very, very important, and it may not always fit in that current moment, and that's okay. Um, you know, it's like anything. If somebody goes in to a business and they're offering something for them, it just may not be the right fit for them at that time. Not to say that it's not down the road, but if you have an idea and it's just not going to produce what this funding needs to produce for the business, then it's just not the right time. And as an experienced broker, somebody would appreciate that a lot more. If they had an idea that was to catch up on some things and it wasn't going to produce any leverage or fuel for their business. I mean, as a broker, I would say, hey, I don't think this is a great fit for the business right now. That might turn into something that's going to hold you back if something major happens, let's say next month. Um, every funding option is a tool, and the tools themselves don't build businesses, the owners do. So, with the right tools at the right time, that's when a business gets to that level, it gets to grow. The funding is great, but the reasoning of the funding could determine a business being in debt or leverage and fueling itself. So, that's very, very important. I just want to mention that because some people, some brokers may even have a client who's approved for the funding and they just wanted to know that they could have access to that working capital. It may not have been something that was super dire to them at the time, but they're happy that they got that offer. They just don't know if what they had in mind at that time was going to be super, super, um, I guess, leverage worth for their business. So keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that they couldn't get a funding a month later with a greater plan or a greater ROI idea for their business, or even refer that out because they're so fired up that we just got them a great offer within 24 hours. So every application, every approval, every conversation that goes in a positive manner, those are all successes. So we shouldn't hold ourselves on did we get a client that got approved, that got funding every single time, because like I mentioned, this is a very important decision for a business owner. They need to make sure that they're going to be covered if and when they accept this funding. So another thing that's very important as brokers is understanding the relationship building steps when it comes to meeting with business owners. So these steps are very important with me, and I know some of the other leaders. I'm sure this is as well. But the first major step when, approaching a business owner, whether that's in person, over the phone, via email, whatever it may be, is to establish a very meaningful and professional relationship. Um, I can't tell you. I mean, I'm not even a business owner, and I receive emails over and over all day of, check this out. We have the best, we'll take care of you. We've got the best in the game. We unmatchable, unbeatable, all these words. And it sounds great. I mean, I could open an email and say, that looks pretty cool. Whatever it is, it's, driveway cleaning or, trash removal, whatever it is. Of course, you're going to make it sound great, but I don't feel in most of these emails or phone calls or texts that somebody's really looking out for me and they just want to be there in case I need it, right? They're always promoting the great things about their product or service, which is great to do because that shows pride and ownership in what you do. But you need to establish a meaningful relationship, something where you're giving some substance. So I'll give an example in a minute, but that's the first step. The second step would be that even if you have a great conversation with a business owner, it may or may not be the right time for them to get funding. And that's completely okay in this space. We're not searching for a yes or no answer at the time. We want to make sure that they even know about the alternative lending space. And once they do, they know that they should come to us because we're the leaders in that space. We're going to get them the best offers in this entire space. So if they think maybe I should check out alternative funding, I know I'm going to you know, Joe with Bank Breezy and DAC because he's going to come back and find me that best offer in that entire space. So um, they're not always going to have an idea. They're not always going to want to see their best offers that day. But as long as anytime you leave a phone call, any conversation, hey, it's great to meet you. It's great to, establish this relationship with you. Um, That doesn't sound like something you'd need today, but I just want to go forward. If you ever think, hey, working capital could do A, B, or C for me, I want to remember DAC, Bank Breezy, and Joe. Those are the two things I want to remember before, as we part this conversation. Um, and then three, if they applied and they get declined, well, why? Declines happen in this industry. Not every single application is going to get approved. That's why there's a underwriting process is to see, if a business can even qualify, and if so, for how much. So if a business applies and they get declined, it's not the end all be all. The main step going from there would be to figure out why they were declined and move from there. So, for example, if someone has revenue too low, in one of the past months, well, you should, if that happens, you should reflect with yourself and say, did I prospect them the right way? Maybe I didn't ask them, I asked them what your last month of revenue was. They said 35, but they didn't tell me that the, month before that was 7. So use that as a learning point going forward. But if it's something as simple as, too many negative bank days in the second of the third 3 months, or 1 month was low in revenue, that's not an end all be all, right? If it's something involving credit or, maybe a past default, those things are a little bit more, well, if they got past default, they would probably never get a funding in our space. And sometimes people end up building their credit back up, with certain avenues and then coming back once it's in a better spot. So it's not the end all be all. Figure out why, go from there. That determines your future follow up with them. Or if they even go dark, if they get approved for the funding and you don't hear from them, it becomes a stalled, offer presented to client. Um, Everyone should have their own, reason, or I should say, way of reaching out with not being too pushy, but also, requiring a little bit of respect, a mutual respect. So, for example, if someone has an offer out and they're just not reaching out, something I like to say is, hey, our team went out and found some great offers for you. They put in a lot of work. They did all the heavy lifting here. Even if you're, it's not the right time, or there's something you didn't like about the offer, please get back with us because, we'd really like to know. They would like to know. So it's really just a respect thing. There's nothing wrong with that, especially in a professional space like this. Requiring some sort of answer from them seems very reasonable. And then for future follow-ups, right? So just the great conversations, the people that you meet, make sure that there's I'm not saying that people don't, but it's very important to have an organized system with, your potential clients, your created leads, because every single person in this industry that you meet, like I mentioned, may or may not be the right time to get funding for them. But that's a part of establishing that meaningful part of the professional relationship is reach out to them. And what I said I would touch on when I was talking about what goes into that meaningful relationship is, if you keep, so I put HubSpot here. HubSpot is a free CRM for you to, enter all the information for your potential clients and your leads, so that you have them all together in one spot. You can email them as a group, to send out, emails to multiple people at once. You can track the open responses, see who's actually engaging with your emails. But as far as the emails themselves, like I mentioned with other businesses promoting, we've got the best, check us out, we'll never let you down. All those things are great to promote the 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 great things about your service or product. But what will catch a business owner's eye, and in my experience, what will catch a business owner's eye and heart more than anything else, is supplying them with something that's greater than just what our current opportunity can do, right? Who are they? They're business owners. They're thinking, how, just besides funding, besides leverage, besides growth, they're thinking of, am I doing everything right for my business? Is there anything out there I could learn from, or, use besides working capital to grow with my business? So I say that to say, include that into some of your, the outreaches, whether it's a phone call or, I would say it's better with email because, you can include more in an email up front, but include some things, even if you go online to, train yourself up about whatever, something in that business's industry, some tidbits about some new things that are coming up in the business world, just something that's besides our service and our product, right? Um, so include that into the messaging. That's going to stand out a lot more to them than, we've got your back all the time. You need business funding, that's us. That's great. But who out there is sending, communications out to people with, hey, did you know that, businesses and whatever, been up 11% in this, and a lot of businesses don't even know about, whatever it may be. So include some important informational things, not just, I'm here for funding. Because after you've communicated enough, they know you, they know you're there to help, but give them something that's greater than just this great opportunity, and that will always create an immediate, meaningful, professional relationship to where they'll always remember, hey, this guy's got me when I need funding, but he's also got these, insights and tips. I mean, this guy really cares about businesses. He's not here to get me, the 65,000 I could get. He's here to make sure my business is doing good at any moment in time. So that's a great thing to keep in mind with just having these relationships with business owners. Now, keeping that in mind, obviously, we have our great strengths when it comes to our Bank Breezy platform, right? There's truly nothing out there that can compete with the level of timeliness and just the offers themselves, right? So keeping in mind when we are speaking to clients, these are the things that I really like to make sure that somebody does know. For example, maybe they say, hey, this is awesome. Just really don't have anything in mind right now. This is what I like to leave them with. So if they can remember these four things going forward, um, it's going to create a great relationship, whether that's, with them getting funding or even referring, as long as they can keep these things in mind. So obviously we have our, we can guarantee that we have the best offers in this space. Which if they can keep in mind the alternative space, if I ever need to go there, I know where I'm going. Next day decisions, like if anyone has past, prior experience with banking or anything like that, they know that next day decisions is phenomenal when it comes to, funding, especially for a business. And then also that you, as the broker, are one call or text away. So this is very important because in any industry, whether it's your phone or your cable or your electric, whatever it may be, that you have to get on the phone and get to an agent and whatever you may be. But you want them to know that you, as the broker, are always one call or text away. Hey, you have anything? I don't care if it's 11 at night. If something sparks your idea, I mean, I'll try to get to the phone, but you can always call or text me if you have questions. Even if something's just on your mind and you have a question, you want to let them know that you're always going to be readily accessible, and so is our team. And that's something else that we can really pride ourselves on that separates us from a lot of the other people in our industry and businesses. So the last would be there's no pressure and there's no hassle. What I mean by this is, like I mentioned before, funding for a business can seem and is a big deal for that business owner, right? They've got the stress and the weight of the world being a business owner. Now they have to think about, this decision of, I've got this idea. It takes guts. I'll be honest. It takes guts for a business owner to just own a business, let alone have this idea and say, I'm running with it. I need some working capital, yes, but I know that I'm going to come out the other side with leverage, with growth for my business. So keeping that in mind, always let them know that there's no pressure and there's no hassle for them to immediately take that offer. I mean, our team does go out and do the work to get them that offer. So we say, only apply when you're really ready to take this serious as a funding offer. But at the end of the day, there's no application cost, there's no offer declined fee or whatever it may be. So let them know, hey, we at the very least we do get back to you that next day with your best offers. Not saying you have to take the offer, but it'd be nice to know what you guys can qualify for. If you've got that idea, you're 80-90% confident in it, and you just want to know that, hey, I could really do this, right? I mean, that's half of the fueling process. An idea is one thing, but the fuel to get there is another thing. So knowing you have that in your pocket is probably just as important as the idea itself. So for them to know that that's real and available for them is very important, but also not having the pressure of, I'm not going to jam this offer down your throat and say, you need to take it. I mean, look how good it is. As long as they know that it's there, they're always going to feel like, hey, I've got this connection, I've got this solution. It's there not just for me, but anyone that I know that could use this. So that's very important. And I'll end on this. Momentum, especially as brokers, is very, very important. That's what keeps us going throughout the week, week after week, month after month. We're going to talk to a lot of business owners out there, and there's so many different industries and different ideas, needs, sometimes even issues that owners are having. But to keep a level head and keep anything that we're doing as counted as momentum is going to keep us as brokers in the best spirits and basically to do what we do in the best way possible. So I want to end with this quote. It speaks to me. I saw it a few weeks ago. I thought I'd throw it in here. And that's action is everything. Dreams die in the waiting room of indecision. So really what that means to me is no matter what we're doing throughout the week, whether it's creating a video for Facebook, reaching out to some people to check out the broker opportunity, sending some emails or calls out to new businesses, letting them know we're here and we're ready to serve. If they ever need us, maybe they have no idea what alternative funding is, and you're that person that educates them. Whatever we're doing, that is action. And obviously, dreams in this case may be outside of DAC, but the dreams, whether that's the outcome of our production or just, producing within DAC, those dreams die in the waiting room of indecision, which means don't get so caught up on, am I doing the right thing? Do I have the best system? Am I on my cards, the perfect thing ever? Anything that we're doing is action. If you're communicating in some form to the outside world through a video or an email or a call, text, whatever it is, a voicemail, that is action. And without action, obviously there's no momentum. So I'll end that there, guys. That's what I had for you guys today. We almost are going on 30 minutes, which I'm surprised with. I didn't know it was going to be that long, but I wrote all these things out because it's what's passionate to me, and I truly believe that there's owners out there that have ideas, they have needs. It's not a super complicated thing. Many can't get approved at a bank. We know that, and any business owner that can't get approved at a bank knows that as well. So the question is, do they know about alternative funding? Do they know you as the broker? Do they know Bank Breezy, the platform? And whenever that time comes, we're ready for them. And that's as simple as it is. Organization of your leads, making sure you're following up with them on a regular basis, not just promoting our services, but also giving them some sort of value, whether that's knowledge or something for their business. Those are the things that are going to dial up the intensity from just being a broker, another broker, and being the broker that has that relationship that if they need somebody, they have a friend, whatever it is, I know who you have to call. Here's their info, and there you go. So there's little things in there. There's slight tweaks that can really dial things up from just doing what we're doing and then doing it in an outstanding way. And those are just the things I believe. But for the sake of time today, I'm not going to be doing any Q&A. I just wanted to share those things with you guys. We're not going to have our 11:30 tomorrow, but we will have our broker opportunity tomorrow night with Nick DeHame. I just talked to him a little bit earlier today. He's super excited. Um, he's going to be doing the entire presentation by himself. So be sure to, invite some people out to that if you haven't already. It's going to be a phenomenal high energy presentation. So anyone that you invite and bring out there is going to be inspired. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And then our next 11:30 is going to be on Friday with our agent update. David should be here for that. Just talked to him a little bit ago, so he'll be back for the 11:30 on Friday. And before I close things out, just want to check the chat because I do see some things. Awesome. So just some encouraging words here. Great, guys. Well, I really appreciate everyone for being here today. Got a good participation count. So let's take this and run with it. Like I said, momentum is everything. Always do anything you can to keep yourself in high spirits because that's going to translate when you're talking to business owners, right? Stay high on yourself. Stay, proud of what we're doing and proud of yourself as the one who's doing it, and keep moving things forward. Anything that's moving forward is moving forward. So God bless you guys. Let's rock today out. We'll see you guys tomorrow night for the broker opportunity, and then Friday morning for the agent update.